Hi, this is Jeff Howald. Today we're going to talk about using a capo on the banjo. The capo lets us change the key we're playing in without having to change our finger positions on the banjo. This also lets us play in open G position, which gives us a distinctively bluegrass sound. We will be limiting our discussion today to playing out of G in the keys of A, B flat, B, and C. Let's see what this looks like. Here's a capo that I use personally, and the reason I do is because the capo stays on the banjo all the time, okay? There are many different kinds of capos you can use, which I'll show you an example later. So if I wanted to play, for example, the key of A, I can move this capo up to the 2nd fret, okay? And typically, now I'm not on top of the fret, you get as close to the fret usually as you can. You get as close to the fret as you can without being on top of the fret. And you also tighten it just enough so that you get clear notes. If you over tighten it, you can pull the strings out of tune. The second thing is you don't want to do is put the capo like right here, because what happens is the capo will pull the strings out of tune. And this is kind of an art. It might take you several hours to actually be able to do that. So if we're in the key of A, we put the capo on the 2nd fret. If we want to do B flat, you go to the 3rd fret. Okay, keep the capo straight. B, go to the 4th fret. This particular capo cannot be used for C. It won't fit, all right? Now when I'm playing out of C, generally I use a C shape and play out of a closed position. But if you want to play in capo C, you would either need a capo such as a Shubb, or here's a Kaiser, which is capo which you see a lot. This happens to be a guitar capo which works on the banjo, but they do make a smaller version for the banjo. You will notice that we capoed only the first 4 strings. I'll now show you some options to capo the 5th string. Let's start with the key of A. We now know how to move the capo to different frets to get different keys. However, you'll notice that the capo is only capoing the first 4 strings. So what do you do with the 5th string? Well, first of all, if you happen to be only in A, you could tune the 5th string up 2 frets to be in A. If you want to go to B flat or B and you tune the 5th string up, chances are it's going to break. The second thing that happens when you tune the 5th string up 2 frets is if you're playing up the neck and you're noting the 5th string, it throws everything off 2 frets. So usually it's better to do something else. The most common thing that you see professionals use is a railroad spike. And you can see a railroad spike. It's kind of hard to see right here, but see that little end? Now most people, when they put on a railroad spike, and this is the same thing they use in the HO trains. It looks just like the big railroad spike you see on the train tracks. It's just a miniature version. And you always point the head down, okay? So if you'll notice when I'm using this spike, I'm actually pushing the string in. See if I can show this. I actually pull the string up under it. Now the reason that you don't point the head up is when you're playing, the string will hit the body of the spike and it'll bounce up, okay? Now I have spikes on my 7th and 9th frets. So if I'm playing, for example, in B flat, I would normally put my spike on A and I would tune the string up 1 fret. If I'm going to be in C, I would put the string underneath this railroad spike, and then I would tune up 1 fret. The next type of fifth string capo we will discuss is the Reagan Banjo Capo, which requires no installation. Here's what the Reagan Capo looks like. You'll notice that it's a kind of a square of brass and there's a slot in it, okay? Now this is going to be a little bit difficult to see, but I'm going to take the slot and you put the string in the slot like this. Okay, now my hand's in the way, okay? And so what happens is the string is now in the slot, okay? You tighten this, not so, if you tighten it too much, you're going to break the string. So you tighten it enough that it stays on the string, but not so tight that it will break the string, all right? You can then move the capo wherever you want. So in the case of, you'll notice, in this case, I'm at the 7th fret for B. There's B flat, and of course there's A. Now, a couple things that I don't like about this capo is that if you play real hard, which I do sometimes it'll knock the capo off, and so you'll be out of tune in the middle of the song. The other thing that happens is many times you'll be learning a song and you'll reference where you are based on the 5th string peg, kind of out of the corner of your eye. If you have this capo on, sometimes your eye becomes confused and you think that this is actually the 5th string right here. So it can throw you off a little bit. The benefit of this particular capo is you can order it and use it immediately, because to get the railroad spikes installed, you have to go to somebody who really knows what they're doing, because they have to be put in just right. And in my case, the closest person that could put spikes in is about 100 miles away. And when he comes into town, he'll bring in his spikes and his tools, and he'll put them in whatever banjos I need. But so I do carry Reagans around with me for when I'm teaching, and they do work very well if you don't play the string too hard. Two more things about the Reagan. One is when you put it on, you actually put it directly over the fret, okay? And then the second thing is, if it's not quite in tune, it's very easy just to tune the banjo to pitch. The last capo we will mention is the Shubb capo. The Shubb capo basically runs on a rail. So you take this rail here, and you can see the capo itself slides very nicely, okay? You install the rail on your banjo, and then once it's installed, you move the rail to wherever you want. So if I'm going to play in B flat, I just move the capo to the 8th fret, and then I just tighten it, and then it pulls down and notes whatever string you want to note. Now the advantage to the Shubb is that you don't have to retune your 5th string to a different note. So if you want to play, for example, in C, no problem. You could even go play in C sharp, and depending on how you install it, I guess you could, in theory, maybe even play in D, which once again is a little unusual. The only disadvantage to the Shubb is if you do a lot of noting with your thumb, that bar does, for some people, get in the way. Well, this is Jeff Howald. Hopefully, you've seen some options on using a 5th string capo. In the video, we've included 3 different kinds, and each method has its strong points and its weak points. Good luck and great picking.